Hi, I want to talk to you about strategy and ERP implementation. And I've been touching on this quite a lot in my comments and posts over the last couple of months, but I want to now zoom in on the specific component of my ERP accelerator, which deals with the strategic alignment of ERP. I'm going to explain what I mean by strategy and explain how that relates to configuring your ERP and why it's so important. I want to start off by making the assertion that strategic essence drives ERP Thrive. If you want to achieve a really high value ERP project, you have got to start off by understanding the strategic essence of the business, and you have got to do whatever you need to do in order to enhance it, strengthen it, support it, and deliver strategic value. If you start off with operational stuff, you're going to stay with operational stuff and you're not going to deliver real value. So, what do I mean by strategy? There are various definitions out there. I did a lot of research many years ago, and the definition that I really like is Professor Malcolm MacDonald from Cranfield School of Management, who says that strategy is doing the right things viewed from the customer's perspective, and tactics is doing things right from the customer's perspective. And if you do the right things well, your organization will thrive, and that's where my logo comes from. If you do the right things not so well, you'll survive. And he says that if you do the wrong things, your organization will die. It's just a matter of how quickly, and the better you get at doing the wrong things, the faster your organization will die. So my focus is on assisting clients to thrive by doing the right things well with their ERP. And I've seen some horrible die fast situations with badly implemented ERPs. In one case, I was brought in too late to turn it around. The company went bankrupt. Another case, I was brought in just in time. A company had lost 40% of its revenue and was threatening to lose the next 20%. And I was able to turn it around, and they were able to regain their lost ground and get profitable again. But it's really important. If you're a practitioner, you need to understand that if you get the strategy wrong, you can cripple the business. I've a couple of weeks ago I posted about the little case study. The software choice that they made was completely strategically inappropriate. In a couple of days, or at most a couple of weeks, they could have established clearly that the SAP product that they bought was completely strategically incompatible with their business and gone somewhere else. Instead, they spent 7 years and 500 million euros thrashing about and getting nothing. So, what is strategy going on? Professor Michael Porter from Harvard School of Business. Strategy is the creation of a unique and valuable position involving a different set of activities. Strategy is about differentiation. Like Dr. Michel Robert, every organization has a single strategic driving force that determines what it does and how it succeeds. And there are the 10 that he defines. He says that it virtually never changes, and I agree with it. I have melded all of these different definitions into something that I call strategic essence, the essence of why the organization exists and how it thrives. This is something that's intuited, it's discovered, it's not invented, it virtually never changes. It's the reason the organization exists, and it differentiates itself. And so the founder saw an opportunity, seized that opportunity, and has built a business successfully around that. And it's very important to understand that you have to understand what that is. And if you build on it and you enhance it, you will create a really profitable organization, a very successful organization. If you don't, it'll be a mess. So strategy is a holistic, integrated picture of how the entire organization fits together and interoperates with the external environment to produce a Thrive outcome. Strategic essence is generally one sentence, but it captures the fundamentals of how the organization thrives. Getting in the way of this essence can destroy the business. So what is strategic essence? At its most fundamental level, it's a single short statement. In more detail, it extends to different facets of how the organization differentiates itself and competes, and further it embraces each of the components of the organization that are fundamental to the organization's existence and successful, sustainable operation. Strategic essence is practical and foundation. And folks, this is really, really important to understand. Strategy is not some abstract, esoteric thing that nobody understands, that's somewhere out there. Strategy is the core of the business, the strategic essence. Every piece of the business that helps the business to thrive is in support of the strategic essence. And if you mess with that, if you break it, it's can be terminal. So what are we looking at? The essential reason the organization exists, it's generally not for profit. The core economic driver, how it uses money, the core human resources driver, how it uses people, core market differentiator, value proposition, sales or marketing method, the core customer market user, the core asset, product, natural resource, size, growth, core technology capability, know-how, distribution, core values, what it will not do, other. So there are all these different components that you need to understand and need to take account of. So what is a strategic plan? It's the path to competitive advantage. It's not about forecasting. It's not about goal setting. It's about mapping out a trajectory of change from where you are to where you want to be. And there's an example, Gillette, highly successful. You'd know the brand, men's shaving products. And you can see there the strategic growth, the exponential growth through the complete repositioning that they went through some years ago. Strategic snapshots. I have a methodology and a tool set that I call Strat Snap. It starts off with a focus question. One snapshot equals an area of interest or concern. And then you constantly narrow the focus down to the 20% of the issues that will deliver 80% of the value. Doing that, you brainstorm, synthesize, weight score, weighted gap, and feed implementation. And you end up with a weighted gap, as you see in the image on the bottom right there. And what that looks like, a worksheet from the tool, a set of critical factors, and the top team are on the top. And what you see there is under leadership, one person thinks it's 31% of what's important, another thinks it's 8%. If you look at operations, product production, 5% and 25%. And so you have these very diverse views around the top table, and in fact, around any table at any level in the organization. And what that looks like, if we say that the ERP project is, the objective of the ERP project is to get to the top of the mountain, well, the reality is that mountains look different depending on how you get to them. And so what we see here is a contour map of a mountain, and everybody's trying to climb the mountain their own way. One person is getting a helicopter, and somebody else is taking the family for a Sunday afternoon stroll. And you need to choose one way up the mountain. And by measuring it the way it's depicted there, we're able to determine that, and we're able to agree one way up the mountain. Out of that, we score in terms of historic current forecast and objective. How well were we doing? How well are we doing? How well will we be doing if we don't change? How well do we want to be doing? That gives you a numeric gap, which you can see in that image there, in a strategic trajectory. Here you've got an organization that's pottering along at a 4 out of 10, might make 4.8 out of 10. In 3 years' time, they want to be about 7 out of 10. Practical, pragmatic, clear measurement of the strategic situation. And that goes for rating the performance of your ERP as well. So if we look at that from an ERP point of view, what that's saying is that the ERP is humdrum. It's not really doing much, but we reckon we can push it up quite a bit. So you get the weighted gap that I touched on a minute ago. You apply the weights to the scores, and what we see in this particular case is two gaps which are much larger than the others. So on an 80-20 basis, you concentrate on closing those two gaps. The other gaps will take care of themselves. So how do we do that? Well, we get a forecast of where we're going. We get an objective of where we'd like to go to. And then we apply projects, activities, decisions, policies to bring about change, and you see that trajectory of change that we looked at a few minutes ago. And what I would say to you is, if you don't understand this, if you don't determine the business forces to apply to the business to bring about strategic change, then just doing an ERP project on its own is really substandard. So to sum up, strategy is the essence of why the organization exists and how it thrives. Differentiation, compete successfully, strategic driving force, holistic view of how the organization interoperates with the environment, focus on the thrive activities and decisions, and the end goal is a high value thrive outcome. Strategic alignment constitutes the 20% that drives 80% of the ERP investment value. And that's a really important point, just to go back there for a minute. Folks, what I see constantly with the posts on LinkedIn is there's no awareness of strategy, there's no awareness of strategic alignment. If you get the ERP strategically aligned, you will do 20% of the work that will deliver 80% of the ERP investment value. If you do what just about everybody does and focus on the operational side of things, you'll do the 80% of the work that will deliver 20% of the value. So there's my ERP accelerator. I've talked about it in previous videos. We look at diagnosing the health of your system. We look at executive custody, CEO, custodian, and the C-suite, strategic alignment, which we're looking at today, then decision, remediate, or implement, or replace, precision configuration. And we'll get to all of these 4, 5, 6, and 7, etc. in the weeks ahead. Prove it works, the laboratory, war games, make it work, robust, go live process, and then thrive, get your benefits out with executive level management. So any questions, please drop questions in the comments. And to learn more about the ERP Accelerator and about myself, please follow the links in the comments below. I look forward to hearing from you and working with you. I'm available to help you with any project. I provide coaching, facilitation, corporate consulting services to any practitioner who is looking to raise their game. You can join my 90-minute free briefing, getting the maximum value out of your ERP. And you can also join my paid for 5-hour executive briefing in my 4-day course, where I do a deep dive into the whole accelerator methodology and how to do it. If you want details, just again, click on the link below. Thank you so much.